I just back the manager, man. I said this is a good opportunity to go and get someone that Moyes wants as another option. I think in recent weeks he's shown when he gets given options, Moyes, and he trusts them, they can come in and obviously we can start to rotate a little bit more. And I would like Moyes to have that particularly. Yeah, mate, look, like we said, we're in 7th place. We're pushing up the table here. Get the right signings in, and there's no reason why West Ham can't push for one of those European spots.
And mate, Dear, obviously they'll be open to selling because of the financial crisis they're in. He seems to be Moyes' number one target, but then you've heard this week that El Nassiri is Moyes' number one target. So you don't really know, do you, at the moment? Obviously, El Nassiri, we'll get into him in a bit, won't we? But he's obviously a good player. He's a European winner, but it just seems to be that scattergun of, we're panicking who to get in, who's available. And for me, this doesn't make any logical sense if you sell Haller, like I said last.
Now I've all got your attention. Hello everybody, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. It's Corey, it's Dan, and it's the Transfer Talk Show live. Mate, every single week before we come on, something happens. Inevitably, this Lingard thing's broken. Everyone in the comment section, let me know your thoughts about the Lingard situation. Sky have now come out and said that the loan deal is agreed. The Mail recently as well said that it wasn't agreed. There was something haggling over the fee. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? It's a bit of a mess, but it wouldn't be West Ham if there wasn't some type of controversy.
I know, mate. That intro was poetry in motion, by the way. But no, yeah. Every time we come on, we think we haven't got a lot to talk about, and then it breaks on Lingard. For me, at first, mate, I wasn't a big fan of the deal. It didn't make logical sense because we got a lot of cover in that area. But then once I thought about it, I was like, yeah, you don't play for Man United if you're a bad player, do you?
Yeah.
Obviously, he's had personal issues and stuff, but. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of talks going about contradictory rumours. That was a tongue twister, but hopefully we can get it done, mate. Because he'd add a lot to the squad, and I think the owners now trust in Moyes. Obviously with Kufal, Souček, and Bowen, they were Moyes' picks. And obviously turned out really well. So it's good to see the board are backing Moyes, and Lingard is a very good player on his day. So hopefully we can revive that.
I gotta be honest, I threw my toys out the pram when I saw the news, and me and you were messaging about it. I was going, "What about the striker?" And I couldn't get my head around it. And I think I've seen a lot of things on social media. It is kind of split. Some people say, "Where does he fit in with the side?" That was my thinking. He's not really a natural defensive midfielder. On the other end, it is squad depth. We lost Snoddy. It is someone to bring in. You look at the run of games we're going to have coming up. We are going to need some recruits in there. Like you said, mate, I think it is a good signing. I think on loan definitely works for us. It's low risk. I know there's been haggling over the loan fee, no excuse. But what's sort of swayed me more in this whole sort of saga is the fact that Moyes wants him. He's desperate to get him. Yeah. He's got to know something that we don't know. And listen, to be fair to the bloke, I trust him to bring him in, and obviously trust like Lingard to make an impact.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know he only played, one game under Moyes when he was there, but Lingard's been at United his whole life. They've got a hotbed of talent there. Fernandes is doing really well. Pogba's coming to form, showing what he can do. So I think, the logical probably solution is for Lingard to go and get game time at a club where, they're going to push on. It's not that much of a downward step, to be honest. At the moment, it's probably a sideward step, to be honest. Probably on par with United. So for him to come in, Lingard, knows Moyes. Moyes knows him, and hopefully you can integrate him into the squad, bring healthy competition as well for Fornals, Benrahma, Bowen even. And he's quite a versatile player as well, mate, which is what I like. He can play calm, he can play centrally, he can play on the wings or just behind a striker. So I think them options and that competition in the squad, is what we've been lacking at West Ham for years. So it's progression, really.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing. We've got a run of fixtures coming up that it's going to come thick and fast, mate. Just as you look, Sunday, Tuesday, Liverpool, Villa, these are tough games. Getting Lingard into the squad to rotate it around a little bit. I'm not too sure about him in terms of the CM role, but I mean, yeah, he can play in that 10 role. I'm getting sort of vibes of possibly even maybe a false 9 at times. I'm not sure. I think Moyes, and it depends, of course, on whether we get a striker in or not, but I do feel that I think it's a good sign. Look at the work rate. He does have quality, let's be honest. I know he hasn't been playing frequently and he hasn't picked up the form. We know he's got quality. But again, the work rate fits into that Moyes side. And if we have to switch him out for someone, possibly a Benny at times or a Fornals, I can't see why it's a bad move.
That's the biggest factor, mate. When Moyes looks at a player, identifies a player, he wants someone who's going to have that work rate. Obviously, Benrahma came in, there were suspicions, but you could tell even against Palace, mate. I know we'll touch on it, but Benrahma's work rate, you can see how much it was improved,
Yeah.
running about, helping the side. So that's where it fits in nicely. He fits into the mold of work rate, which is what Man United fans have said. Like you said on that comment there, versatility, he can defend okay. So yeah, no, he's a good player, no question. He just needs that confidence, mate, because I think he's lacked that over the last few years. And he's frustrated and wants game time. So it's a perfect match.
I mean, he's come into us, and I know I'm not too sure about his match fitness because clearly he hasn't played a regular run of games, and of course, naturally, it will take him up to speed. But he hasn't got an injury. He comes in, he's going to train with the squad. He knows David Moyes as well, which is what I've thought about. And you look at when Moyes come back to West Ham for the second time, knew Creswell, knew Declan Rice, knew a number of the players. But Lingard knows what Moyes expects of him, and I think that's a massive thing. You see it on Tuesday night. The squad, their belief in terms of what David Moyes wants to do, and that intensity that they show. Lingard's definitely someone that can buy into it.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a bit of flair as well, coupled with that. So I think it's a perfect signing to help push on Benrahma and Bowen as well. And if you said to me, mate, a few years ago, we'd have Lingard on loan, I would have snapped your hand off. I didn't think it'd happen, but it shows the caliber of players we're attracting because Lingard is a good player. He has been. He still is. I know I probably wasn't keen on it at first, but that was probably because I thought we need to put that energy into a forward rather than another attacking midfielder, but. It shows, mate, that we're attractive, and if he can help push us towards a European place, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, Andrew says here, I think it's a push, Andrew. But Lingard will want to get into the Euros too. Yeah, I think the thing is with Lingard, isn't it? He wants to rebuild his career, doesn't he? He wants to get a regular run of games, and like you touched on, mate, he's not getting in the side with Fernandes, Pogba, so many attacking midfielders, and they play with the inverted wingers anyway. Rashford, Martial, so you can't see where he fits in there at all. I think he comes to West Ham. I think he can show his quality and his work rate, and I think it is a positive signing. But I've got to concede, mate. I did throw my toys out of the pram because I just wanted a natural defensive midfielder, someone that we could actively rotate Rice and Souček. And I don't think I'm interested to see what he does with him. Whether we do play with one pivot at times and Lingard plays in almost an 8 role, that's a possible suggestion as well. So yeah, all in all, mate, I'm just happy to get bodies in because Moyes definitely needs some support.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you touched on there. It's just healthy options, mate. Having these different dilemmas is a good thing. It's healthy. It brings the best out of other players. Like I said before, he was never going to get game time. He needs game time because he's how old is he? 28 now, so he's probably in his prime. Like that comment says there, probably wants to push for an outside chance of getting in the Euros. Might not happen.
Not with Jack Grealish and that lot around.
No, exactly, yeah. No, it's Saka and Maddison as well, Mount. So, but yeah, no, it makes sense. Like you, I probably wanted someone like a defensive midfielder, mate, who can just come in, cover Rice and Souček, like Alex Král, someone like that. But we got to trust Moyes and what he's doing with West Ham and where he wants to go.
Getting a lot of confusion about the deal. Listen, everyone, I haven't got a clue what's going on. I thought it was typical David Sullivan here with the loan fee. I mean, just get it done, David. If Moyes wants him in, then don't play around with the loan fee. There's no real excuse. Now you're here and it's done. I personally think it will be done because I think the player's agitating for the move. He wants to come to West Ham. He wants to get game time. That will force United's hand. He's not going to get into their squad at all. He's not even in and around the subs bench at the moment, even for cup games. So I think he'll push for it. Fingers crossed it happens. We do need bodies in naturally. Listen, mate, I prepared a whole thing on the RB Leipzig striker, Hwang Hee-Chan, and it looks like that deal's off as well. And we obviously heard that this afternoon that I think it's Julian Nagelsmann said he's not going anywhere. Thoughts on that, mate? West Ham, we've got a real short turnaround now, 3 days or 4 days really to get a striker in. Do you think West Ham can do it, or do you think this is set up for Yarma to play as a backup striker for the rest of the season?
I hope it's not. I hope it's not the latter because as good as Yarmo was against Doncaster, it's a League One opposition team. Yarmo could play there. Don't get me wrong. His versatility, he's versatile. He's technically very good. I just don't think, say, God forbid, if Antonio gets injured, mate, I don't think he's someone that can come in. It changed the whole team dynamic, like I said to you earlier.
Yeah,
you've got to change your whole system because he's not going to hold it up that much. He's not going to run in behind. Positional awareness like Antonio, I'm not sure, he probably lacks it as well. But I've said it for weeks, mate. If teams want to sell their striker, they have to identify replacements like Sevilla did, like probably Bordeaux will with Madja, like obviously like Leipzig will with Chan. I know he was struck with COVID, a bad case of it, so he hasn't played a lot. But Nagelsmann will probably be saying to him, "Listen, you got to prove yourself to us because he's clearly a decent player." But it's always that case in the January window, mate. If you want to get a striker in or player in, that club will most likely, unless you're United, want to replace them with someone else. Yeah. So it always holds it up. But I don't know, mate. I think we need to put our energy in because I said to you before, if Antonio or Souček get injured or Rice, two key players, potential derailing of the season, and it'd be devastating because Moyes has done wonders with that squad. We look like a proper team since we did in the last season at the Bowling, mate. So
yeah,
hopefully, we can identify someone else and get moving with it.
It's so important. Like you see it even with Mickey playing against Palace. I will rewatch the old game when it was 1-0 and watch this game, obviously just gone. The difference in having Mickey in the side is just a different level, even for someone to be in that mould of a player. And I'm not going to dig out Allaire, he's been and gone, but certainly we need somebody that can play in that Mickey role that gives us versatility just because of the nature of the squad. Sullivan won't dish out for more signings. But someone that can run the channel, hold the ball up. Chan did look like that guy, to be fair to him. His Salzburg record was very, very good. 16 goals, 22 assists in 40 games. And people will say, well, of course, it was in the Austrian league. But you've got some serious players that have played for Salzburg, obviously. You've got Haaland being the main one. Daka as well, currently there. So it's not a slight on him. I just think it's too late. I've got a horrible feeling it's too late. The way that the market's gone, possibly, like you said, Madja would be the one that would make sense. Like we touched on the Lingard, Moyes has worked with Madja. They've got problems at Bordeaux. If he wants to leave, again, we could get him in. But definitely, we need somebody in. I've said to you many times, it's unacceptable to not have at least 3 striking options. So we've got to get another senior striker in there. And as well as Yarmolenko did at Doncaster, it was the level of the opposition and the fact he had 3 fantastic attacking midfielders behind him. You need an actual striker because we're not going to be playing games like that. We're not going to have possession. So it's absolutely crucial we bring someone in.
Yeah, exactly. Draws back to healthy competition again, and it's touch and go, mate, isn't it? It's one of them. It's frustrating. They're probably trying to get targets in, like we've heard. There's been numerous links, hasn't they? But maybe they are. Worst comes to worst, they're probably thinking Yarmolenko can do that job. Odubeko can come in when needed, and we'll wait until the summer where they can get a proper target in who fits the mold and. Rather than rush it, which I do understand, but like you said, it'd be criminal because if we're fighting for Europa League spot, I can't believe I'm saying it, but we
Champions League. It's crazy.
Get the passports out. But no, if you want to match Moyes' ambitions, you got to back him and you got to bring in a player that he wants, mate, and that can help Antonio and even maybe probably start ahead of him some games if needed. So it's touch and go.
100%, mate. You're touching it. Before we get going, everyone watching the stream now, drop a like as well. It massively helps. Get everyone watching this. We're talking everything transfer related this evening, Marcus, and it relates to what you said, mate. Do you think he'll pull a rabbit out of the hat, maybe go from someone from the Championship? I don't think he will, but certainly what you said about waiting for the right target. There are Championship targets out there that I'm sure David Moyes has got his eye on, and I think more realistically, a long-term striking option is going to come into the summer. If anything happens now, it's a short-term deal, 100%.
Yeah, defo, like Madja with Bordeaux and Dia, both in the French league, both having, financial troubles. So that's probably a short-term solution. And then in the summer, obviously we're linked with Jonas Wynn this week. Good player, young potential. So that's someone of more of a long-term target, if you know what I mean. But like Marcus said then, Championship players want to prove themselves. Armstrong, Tony, obviously, they want to prove themselves in a higher league and they can do it for sure.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me, mate, if come summer, someone like Armstrong was on the radar again, but I don't think this January, unless, Blackburn are guaranteed a inflated price and replacements straight away, that'll happen. But now panic stations are starting to set in now for sure.
I think, unfortunately, and we'll obviously touch on, I believe it's going to happen, the permanent transfer of Said Benrahma, possibly on a 4-year deal, 20-odd million over, I think it's like 4 years. Now they've taken that money out, it doesn't look like we're going to move for one of those long-term targets because they're at least 15 to 20 million, and that's been used on him, brought him in, and bringing Lingard. And I would assume that was with the premise that they'd go and get somebody in on loan. I am concerned about the summer, if I'm honest, using that Allaire money to buy Said Benrahma when really that money was tied up. We thought it was from the Grady deal. does concern me going forward that we're not going to go and get someone. Maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic, but with this board, mate, it does concern me that come the summer, we're dragging our feet. Really now we should have the groundwork done, identify the strikers, whether it's Dia or Daka, and set that out. And when the season finishes, go and get them in.
Yeah, mate, I think, like we always have done in the last few years, we've had a big short list, gone through each one, and they haven't worked. And then we get to the end of it and think, what do you do now? Back to the drawing board again. But I don't know, mate, touching on the summer, I think if they really see, well, they clearly can see that Moyes is building something special, long-term target. Moyes has said he wants to improve the scouting system, that they'll really kick into gear, back him deservedly with what he wants, which they should have done this window, but hopefully they'll do in the summer. That they can get, who he wants in and really put a squad together that can push on and take us far.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just feel like we're one injury away, mate. I don't want to be too negative because obviously at the moment I feel bad. We're playing so well. And listen, I think that a massive part of that performance on Tuesday was down to the fact that a lot of key players were rested against Doncaster. We're not going to have that luxury going forward, really. So we just need to get players in that we can rotate effectively. And I'm a bit gutted, if I'm honest. If Moyes clearly is not going to get one of his long-term targets, because I think this was a massive opportunity to see Moyes with two strikers that he rates. And I think we could have seen him rotate a bit more, or Antonio maybe used a little bit more fluently, possibly on one of the wings. So it is a little bit frustrating, I can't lie, but I guess we've got 4 days left. Let's hope something comes out of the hat. I wouldn't rule it out, but by the looks of it, it's going to have to be someone from abroad that we're probably not too familiar with.
I know, yeah, it would be devastating, mate. To be fair, if we get a few injuries to key players, because the wonders he's doing with the squad. We got a good squad, mate. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's paper thin compared to other clubs who are up there in the top 7.
Yeah.
So even the Leicester's, Leicester's have 2 strikers, have stuff like that. So I think, like you said, it only takes a few injuries. I don't want to be pessimistic because we're doing really well and we haven't had a lot of injuries compared to other seasons this season, but that's all it takes. And if you want to challenge at the top level, you need cover, and you need that competition. So hopefully, they can get someone in that can do that short term and then summer go again. Because it'll be tough now to get any deals done, I think, and striker wise. But we can hope, and we don't know who Moyes wants, mate. They said his number 1 target's El Nassiri, and then they said, oh no, it's Madja, and then they said it's someone else. So we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And to be fair to him, what I like is he keeps it quiet. If the press ask him after a game what's going on, he doesn't let it slip. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it becomes silly season otherwise, doesn't it, mate? Moisey coming out and saying one thing, and then obviously it gets a little bit disrespectful if the board aren't fully backing him. I'm sure he knows what the situation is. He will be disappointed, I'm sure, particularly where the squad is at the moment. The fact we're in 4th place currently, obviously I know Tottenham and Spurs are kicked off, but it's been a crazy season, and you just feel like how many opportunities are West Ham going to get, to push on in a season like this where it's been so mental and it's been so tight. So again, I think if you bring someone in, he's going to have to know them. We know with Moyes, he's not going to bring someone in that he's not keen on. So if it is a loan signing, he'll have to have some kind of idea about who that is. And Madja, to be fair, would fit that bill, but I'm not going to put my money on it just yet.
Can you count on him, mate, though, to come into the Premier League? Because he's not played that much.
Still an ask, isn't it?
If we're wanting a goal for him to come on and do that, he's still obviously very young. He was good at Sunderland, don't get me wrong, but, it's different ball game in at the Premier League. So, yeah, it's difficult, mate. But, it's one of them. It would be devastating if, we did get a few injuries. But hopefully, we can reignite the Chan deal and get that done, because he does look like an energetic forward. Obviously, he runs the channels. And I watched their game against Liverpool the other day, actually. And he scored and he set up Minamino's. And, he caused a lot of havoc, him and Minamino. I know Minamino's not doing that well at Liverpool. He can't really get a sniff, but Chan would be that. He reminds me a bit of Son, mate, the way he plays.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And when you see him in his earlier period at Salzburg playing more on the wing, and then obviously more recently there just playing a little bit more central, so he has got that versatility definitely to his game. And he's asking, is it the lad from Sunderland? Yes, it was. You'll remember if you watched the documentary, the one that was itching to leave. Tony says, Lingard says that the agreed loan fee of £3 million. It's a bit steep. I thought it was only 1.5 a minute ago. But listen, I don't care. We should have more than enough money, to be honest. In this day and age, with this money kicking around, 1.5, 3 mil, it's nothing, mate, is it?
No, exactly. In this day and age, mate, it's not a lot, is it? You know, you wouldn't think 15 million was for Dia either. The fee that was quoted, but
Yeah.
No, yeah, still hopeful we'll get a forward. Yeah, no, last window wasn't bad either. To be fair, Barry, it was it was a good window. We didn't really expect it. We thought this is the thing about Lingard. We thought Dawson. I wrote him off straight away, mate. I think I give him a lot of stick saying I don't want him anywhere near the club if we're going to progress. He's he's been relegated twice, but it just shows that he was a good player in a bad team. And if you get these players in, that want to revive their careers, that have a point to prove and that are determined, like Bowen, Souček, Kufal, all of these, like Lingard as well, it molds well, mate. So it's only a bonus for us.
Yeah, quite rightly though. Barry pointed out about the players we brought in the last window. We forget because it seemed like such a dire window. Now you look back at it, Benrahma, Soufal, and Dawson have been huge parts of this team, and going forward they're improving. So I think that's why there's a bit more optimism. I know people, looking at Lingard possibly from a few years ago, and I'm not sure he'll be the same player. But listen, mate, if Moyes wants him, bring him in, bed him in. I know, and I think possibly this is a bit of a long term. He's still only 28, so he has got a couple of years on the clock. He's not been worn out. He's had quite a bit of a rest, and we know he's had his personal problems. But I'm excited, mate. I'll back him when he's in a West Ham shirt, and I hope he really does the business for us.
Yeah, same, mate. No, definitely. I think imagine him and Benrahma in a team with Bowen on the flank and Fornals. It's attacking, but it's tasty, isn't it? So fingers crossed, mate. He's got a point to prove. He wants to revive his career, put his problems behind him by playing football, and he's not going to get that at United. So hopefully he can do it for West Ham and get us abroad next season when we're allowed back at football.
Yeah, a couple of people asking. I do believe, and I haven't checked everything, I think it is a confirmed deal. So I think he is joining West Ham and he should be fit for Sunday, or at least ready to be available for selection. So I'll be interested. I'll definitely keep my eye on it. I'm proper interested to see his team selection, mate, to be fair, how he fits him in. Obviously, in order to get Jesse Lingard in, we had to make a certain man a permanent transfer. No brainer for me. He's been absolutely tremendous in the past couple of games. We obviously knew his technical ability come in. Me and you both sat here and said, I'm not sure about the physicality. Can he fit in with a David Moyes side? And listen, fair play to him and Moyes. They've worked on it together. And his off-the-ball work rate has been phenomenal. We saw that in full effect on Tuesday, mate.
Yeah, no, we did. He was superb. He was probably one of our best players. Him and Fornals, they work really well together, Bowen on the other flank. But I just think, the way he moved in between players, obviously on the ball, he's superb. Off the ball as well, he's superb. His stats were amazing. I looked after, I put a tweet out, mate. His stats were incredible, and he is, slowly. You're seeing the work that Moyes is doing on the pitch with him. He's seeing, obviously, he's desperate for that goal, isn't he? He took a shot from 30 yards out, and you could see Moyes getting really annoyed by it. But
as ever, man.
But that goal for the equaliser that he, chipped over to Antonio. That vision he's got. He's just He is a top player. Yes, his end product can improve, and it probably will given time. But no, you can tell he's special, mate. He's got that ability to change the game out of nothing. And I'll stick with it. The fact that he has got a bit of Paye-esque about him, his flair and his ability. So hopefully that first goal comes to him soon because he deserves it.
I've said this on one of the lead shows. I said it's a matter of time before Benrahma, we start to see goals and assists and people start to take notice of what he's doing, because even quite recently, I said he's not decisive enough on the ball. He's taking a lot of touches, and in the past couple of games, I think it was against Burnley that passage of play, or possibly that cross, I can't remember what game it was, but it's exactly what we need for him. And listen, we've got to give him some kind of leeway because he's come from the Championship. He was in and out of that Brentford side when they kick-started their pre-season, so he had to adapt to the Premier League and to a new team. And now I think we're really, really seeing him. And listen, mate, all he needs is a goal and another assist to his name, and all of a sudden he builds that confidence, because technically, mate, he's tremendous. He could be one of our best players technically on the ball.
He is, yeah, mate. To be fair, he's one of the first names on that team sheet. But I think you got to give credit to Moyes for that transition as well. He didn't throw him in straight away, neither with Bowen. He allowed him to sit on the bench, get used to the taste of the Premier League and the intensity and how it varies from the Championship, and then slowly give him sub appearances. And then if he's made a mistake, it's harsh, but probably drop him and then embed him back in again. And thought Palace was probably his best game. But like you said, that ball he put in for Soufal to knock onto Bowen as well. I can't remember if that was against either, but he's got that ability and that vision, mate, and technically he's very good as well. So I think he is a top player already, and he can become even better.
I'm excited, mate. I mean, I'm just happy we've tied him down. However it's happened, however the Allaire money's happened, I'm just happy. We know he's going to be in a West Ham shirt for a couple more years. You put all the hard work in behind the scenes, mate. So, of course, let's bring up the graphic on Said Benrahma, the stats this season. I know they don't look too impressive, but when you consider the relatively few appearances he's had, some of these are sub-appearances as well. And we'll get to the key stat right at the end, which is probably, for me, the most telling. So, here we go. Said Benrahma, 2021 season stats. Have a look at this, mate. 12 appearances, 2 assists, 26 successful dribbles, second in the West Ham team. Even you've got stats in there like 18 final third carries, mate. That is impressive, given that at times we're sitting quite deep. So, and we'll obviously see this stat when it comes up at the end. 3.24 shot creating actions per 90 minutes. For me, that's the biggest one, because that is obviously anything that can lead to a possible goal or a shot or a final pass. And Said Benrahma, that's what he does, mate. And I think that kind of stat shows that it's only a matter of time before he gets an assist and people start really taking notice of him from other sides.
Yeah, definitely. Them stats, like you said, they probably aren't that eye-catching, but he's only had 6 90s this season, and most of them have been sub-appearances as well. So it'll only come good. Like you said, the ability to carry it into the final third is really impressive. But as well, I could see against Palace, mate, he's not taking too many touches, getting out of his feet. He's passing it quickly, either to Cresswell or Soufal or something like that. But the shot creating actions at the end, it's sorry, mate, it's a crazy number. It's I'll explain it to people. Yarmolenko's top, but he, obviously he's had less games, so he's going to be. Fredericks is up there as well. But if you tempt them two out of the equation, then he's second behind Antonio. So I think to have that impact on a game, on the game already is impressive.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, he's coming. I think the only possible notable game before then was Leeds. I think he was. Yeah. I think he really started to dictate the play. And obviously, we know how much freedom they give teams in the midfield. But even he come on against Fulham, mate. He got an assist there. That was very, very early on. So yeah, I think it's easy to kind of forget that. For me, it was always the sort of, and I think Moyes has said this in a lot of press conferences, his work rate off the ball. And Palace, it was tremendous. In other games, it has been as well. And I just want him to get that goal, man. He definitely deserves that goal.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He's coming, mate. That stat speaks for itself. He gets into the right positions as well. I think he's just more of a creator, mate. I think but like you could tell against Leeds, he wants that goal. But scrubbing up on that final third product, and Moyes, teaching that into his game, it'll come and he'll take shots at the right moment, and it will come off. In fact, I'll make a prediction now. I think he will score against Liverpool.
I'd love it, mate. We'll get onto the Liverpool game. Don't you worry before I let you go. We'll do a little prediction for that one. Megan says, I'm worried about Lingard being our only signing and Yarma, aren't we all? I think that's the kind of common consensus, isn't it? That I wouldn't agree with it. I really wouldn't like it. A lot of comments Andy's saying there, I think you might be right. I possibly think that might be right as well, just because of how many targets we've gone through. It just doesn't look like... And Moyes isn't the type of guy to sign any old person. He'll want to sign someone that he thinks fits. He said it, I don't want to spend money necessarily, but what he's trying to say is, I know I haven't got a lot of money. I need to be conservative with who I bring in. And if they don't fit, don't bring him in. I think we've gone through a transition period a little bit, to be fair, with Moyes. Felipe Anderson's gone out, Allaire's gone out. There's a few little players in there that we're not seeing too much of now. It's so important. I'm interested about the Lingard thing. Sometimes I've got this horrible feeling he's going to play him as like a false 9 at times. I mean, we possibly might even see that. So, I don't know.
Maybe. You never know. He could turn him to the best striker ever, like he did with Antonio. But
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with it, but I've just got a feeling.
No, I didn't agree with him moving Antonio to striker, but it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'm a bit concerned. Yeah, Yarmolenko did well against Doncaster. I've said this before, he did, but you got to take in mind the opposition. If he's coming on again, say if Antonio pulls up against Liverpool and Yarmolenko's coming on to replace him, the whole dynamic and your game plan and your threat going forward just changes. Because Yarmolenko want to sit in a false 9. He'd play well with Antonio up top, but he can't do it on his own for me. I'm being pessimistic, but I don't think we can rely on Yarmolenko. Because look at his injury record as well. Look at Yarmolenko's injury record. It's not brilliant, is it? So I hope, But the good thing that I do like about Moyes, mate, that he won't say yes to any target. He takes his time. He wants them to fit in. He identifies them himself, and you got to take positives from that. But we just got to hope and pray, mate.
It's interesting what DJ said there about using Lingard similar to Greenwood. I mean, it might even be a situation where if, Antonio goes off for whatever reason or he's injured, we might even see Bowen. I think someone brought up a bit of a tactical analysis on Bowen and the amount of positions he actually gets in the box. He could be scoring even more goals. So I wouldn't be surprised possibly at times you bring on Lingard on the right-hand side. And there's been a few times this season when Yarma's come on the right and I've said, oh, no, here we go, because his work rate isn't there. But we know Lingard does have it. So possibly, again, that's another option. But we'll have to just wait and see. David M says, can Lingard play on the right and Bowen up front? Yeah, exactly what I said. Maybe. We don't know. But Moyes must have his reasons.
Yeah, no, Bowen gets into some fantastic positions, doesn't he? The only thing for me is that he still needs to work on his end product.
Yeah, 100%.
I think he can be a bit selfish, but that comes in time. Look how much he's progressed. But to be fair, mate, you said about Yarmolenko's work rate. What could come into a positive kind of mindset for him when playing up front is he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to work hard, does he? Because Antonio, I was watching against Palace, he wasn't pressing with intensity. He wasn't pressing every time their centre-backs had the ball. They were like zonal marking and allowing them to come forward, having the ball at the back. So Yarmolenko could suit that because he's very good at bringing others into play as well, and he's technically very good. So that could work, mate. There's options in there. There's different options, So we'll have to see.
I thought it was really interesting against Doncaster when they put obviously Yarma was playing the 9 and then they had the attacking midfield 3 who I thought were absolutely tremendous, to be honest. At times the fluid football was unreal. What you were seeing a lot of is Yarma coming out to the right wing, picking up on his left and pushing forward the attacking midfielders. So there is kind of a blueprint there. And I think that's the most impressive thing about this West Ham side this year. We are adapting, to certain games. Yes, it's Doncaster. Yes, of course, against other opposition, it's not that easy, particularly teams that are going to press you. But at least it gives us something to work with, mate. Because like you say, Yarma's not going to work in a low block and in transition. We're going to need to push the team up to go and meet him.
Yeah, but like you said, mate, to be fair, we've got flair players now that can play around that false 9. Because look at Gundogan with City. Look how well he's doing against West Brom. They were superb.
Yeah.
And if you have someone, because Gundogan's not the fastest, he's not very good in the air. He's not that strong. But if you have someone who's technically very good and a step ahead of the opposition, like Yarmolenko can be, and like Lingard can be as well. That's sometimes opposition, teams don't really expect that. That's why City have done so well. So hope, we could acclimatise well to that. But to be fair, mate, we're speaking like Antonio's out and he's not. So
it'll happen, man. He must get.
No, it will. Yeah, it is inevitable because his hamstrings are like rubber bands. So.
And the problem is we've never really seen him in a side where he's been regularly changed in and out or he's been given the 30 minutes. And listen, I thought against Palace, he got that rest in. And I was like, against Doncaster, just give him the break. He doesn't need to play. And it was good to see him come back, look fit, look sharp. He'll only improve. But I think it's all right for us now. We're sitting here with obviously Antonio in our side, the team fit, given the whole back four a rest. We're looking really, really lively. You get to March and obviously we know how many games we've got. Aston Villa, Liverpool, Fulham, Sheffield United, Spurs, Man City. Some real tough games in there as well. Mickey can't play all of them. That's just my opinion. No. We want him fresh for the games that we feel like we can go and hit a team on a counter.
Yeah, no, to be fair, mate, I'm surprised we haven't gone through Origi from Liverpool. I'm surprised we haven't progressed that a bit more. But then again, they're
I don't think we can. I don't think we can now, though, because we obviously signed Lingard, so we only have 2 domestic owners. Yeah. So, but yeah, it makes sense, man.
I know we went with a Rochdale striker today as well. Quado Bar, his name is 18-year-old. But that's more of a long-term thing, so that probably won't happen this month. But yeah, there's options there, mate. But I just think we need to back Moyes. I think we need a striker in. Chan's not going to happen now, is it? Probably because none wants to keep him, and they need that competition up there because that's a tough league to be in. But there might be something behind the scenes that we don't know about that they're working on. If you ask me now, who would your ideal signing be this month, it would be Daka, but it's not going to happen because he's pivotal. Him and Koita are pivotal to their season. So
yeah,
you've got I don't know, mate. It's not ideal. It's an unenviable position to be in.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, man. Even
I don't envy them.
Yeah, Andy says here, I'll touch on. He says City prove you can score a lot of goals without an out-and-out striker. True, but you have to have a lot of possession. You can't play that kind of false 9. You have to dominate the play. That's why it worked against Doncaster. We're not going to be able to do that against most teams, and that's not the way we play. So we have to have a functional striker. And it just shows how important Mickey is, mate. I think a couple of seasons ago he was a bit off form. Moyes has transformed him into a striker. He's always worked hard, to be fair to him. He has always put a shift.
Yeah.
But it just his overall play. You don't realise how important he is until he goes out the side.
I know, mate. Even against Palace as well. It's not the stuff off the ball, but it is the stuff off the ball that's really improved for him. Like the positions he picks up, mate. Against Palace, he had 3 clear-cut chances. And on the wing, obviously he worked very hard. He got up and down, but he was blowing instantly. And maybe it suits him now as he's getting a bit older to just stay up front a bit more and not put as much work in. But yeah, no, credit to Moyes. The positions Antonio finds himself in, and the goals he's getting as well, and the work he's putting in, he's improved, and he's probably one of our most important players now.
Yeah, he's just, mate. He's so important. Let's talk about that while Lingard's signing his contract at West Ham and Benny's getting his permanent deal signed as well. Let's talk about that Palace game, mate. We have touched on it a little bit. For me, it was. I said on the review, it was the best team performance I've seen this season. The intensity was superb, and I had a bit of a typical West Ham fan moment when they scored early on, and I went, "Here we go." They've all had a break, and now all of a sudden we're looking sloppy. But this West Ham side isn't the side that me and you are used to supporting. It's they pick themselves up, they get a goal, and we're back in it. And like that and we pretty much, to be fair, mate, dominated that game for nearly 70 minutes. There were very few moments that Palace got an edge in it. Yeah,
exactly. The old West Ham of old probably would have picked up 4 points from the last 3 games. Goes to show how much we've improved. The mentality we have as well. Because I've seen someone today say, Soufal and Souček come into training on the days off and put in the extra work, and it inspires Yarmolenko to do the same and things. So that team morale is improving. But no, on the performance, obviously, when Zaha scored early on, I thought, here we go again. But he's such a moaner, by the way. Zaha. He gets on my nerves.
Man. Dennis is still fuming somewhere. I'm telling you now, he was getting he does my head in as well.
Dawson lives rent-free in that geezer's head. Like when he puts on Instagram and saying, I'll carry on doing what I'm doing, I'm not going to change. It's tiring, mate. Anyway. Anyway.
No, I'm kidding. He's a good player.
He's a good player, mate, but he needs to eradicate the stuff from his game like Grealish does. But Souček obviously responded well. Great finish, by the way, just getting into them areas. Same with the second one, and then King Craig steps up for the third. It's just that knack of scoring different goals and making the most of set pieces. And obviously Antonio hit the post 2 times, was it, and missed another chance when Benny set it up for him. So it could have been about 6 or 7, mate, on the day. And obviously the goal at the end was a bit disappointing. I think it was just a lapse of concentration, to be honest with you. But no, it was a brilliant win. Probably the best performance of the season. I agree with that. And hopefully now, against Liverpool, we can kick on. To be fair, mate, if Fabinho and Firmino are out like they are tonight, I fancy it.
Oh, God, that'd be absolutely gorgeous, mate.
I would have never said this, mate.
No, neither would I. But, I sat there last night and I said, you know what, I fancy us on Sunday. I really, really do. Obviously, Liverpool are going through a bit of a torrid time in terms of goal scoring. I think they had 20 minutes against Man United in the FA Cup that I thought they were shaped themselves again, but you just feel that the way they're going, the way that West Ham are playing. And I think, like, for me, there's 2 performances this season that stand out. It is the Leicester game where we won 3-0 and we controlled the game. Yeah. And then this was a game like this where it was live for the whole thing. I know we say we dominated, and we did dominate, and we created so many chances. We should have been 5-1 up, to be honest, in the end. But it's tough. We had to be concentrated. We had to press up against them. And that's what impressed me more, the intensity. I know we talk about our attacking midfield 3. Very few teams in this league have an attacking midfield 3 that work as hard as Jarrod Bowen, Pablo Fornells and Said Benrahma. And that's the difference. And that's something great that I want to see in this side going forward. You look at Liverpool's midfield, it's not going to be an easy game for them. It's not passive in possession. No. West Ham are going to compete here. Yeah,
exactly. They're going to press. But again, Moyes will probably say sit off them, because if you press too much and try and match them, they'll probably get the better of you, because that's what top sides do. But, it's important if we lose, we don't get too complacent, because it is Liverpool, they're a top-class team. But, it shows how far we've come in a number of months that we fancy our chances against them. Obviously, like you said, they had that good spell against United where they looked like they were, their old self, really. But it solely depends, mate. The game solely depends on if Salah and Mane turn up.
Get excited because West Ham have actually signed someone.
Yeah, no. But it solely depends if Salah and Mane turn up. And if we keep them quiet we'll get something out of the game. So it'll be interesting.
The thing is about this West Ham side is when we went to Anfield last time, a lot of it was about the wing-back system, sitting back, soaking up pressure. We were fantastic on transition. But I think we were improving in this 4-2-3-1, and I think we've shown that quite a few games now. And obviously, I'm not sitting here going, go on, press Liverpool, press their midfield, I'm sure you'll win something. But I think we go into this game with Mickey up front. That's a huge plus compared to Sebastian Haller. It's a different type of game. If we want to sit back and soak up pressure, we can. We know we can. But I look at Thomas Souček as well, You talk about him in a pivot role, kind of, but the amount of runs he can make forward, the athleticism to get back as well. I think there are little moments in this game that West Ham can break and break with pace. And like you said, Fabinho out, Firmino out, so many players. If Hendo plays at centre back as well, no Matip's back, or Reece Williams. Liverpool have got some real weaknesses. Trent this season is looking awful. He really, really is, and he's right off the pace. So it's a golden chance, mate, for me. It's a free hit. Liverpool, it always is, but I'm feeling confident.
I think they're tired, mate. I think, the intensity of the season they've had last season, the season before, I think it's catching up on the likes of Trent and Robertson, who are playing week in, week out, 48 games a season, probably, with a Champo included. Last time, like Megan said there, away from home, when we nearly beat them, we played really well. We gave them problems, mate. Fornals came on, had problems, and I was gutted, mate, because I was there and I thought we were going to win. But I don't like them either, by the way. I don't like the fans, but we'll move on from that. No, just sorry, mate.
Right.
No, just they're not very good from set pieces either, and I think that's somewhere we can really take advantage.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, Craig Dawson,
massively.
Mate. Craig Dawson from a set piece.
Yeah, King Craig, get him up there. Ogbonna as well, and Souček. And I think, that added threat of Souček going forward, bombing forward, and getting into them positions, them blindsided positions, mate, will really cause them a problem. But they've, obviously they've got talent. They've got undeniable talent. But, if you get Bowen and Benrahma, Fornals to get at them, as well as the work they're putting off the ball defensively, I fancy us.
I just feel like that. I just feel like it's one of them games that I think it's different. We don't have to, in this game, we don't have to commit a Creswell forward or even a Soufal forward, because I actually think at times our attacking midfielders can do that job. They can press, they can sit, they do a lot of the hard work. Souček, like you said, I know DJ said in the comments, Souček positions himself like Lampard. There is that kind of that kind of innate run that some people just have. And Souček, to be fair, and I will say this because I haven't said this before, but we looked at him, his athleticism, his positioning, a lot of the stuff that we say is fantastic about him. Technically, he's fantastic. And he's massively under. His finishing is unreal. He's just like he's not a complete player, but he's a perfect player for this West Ham side, definitely.
He's someone, mate. He's someone we've lacked since the likes of Chet Kiarte. Someone who can just get forward, do the dirty work, do everything. He's better than Kiarte, but it's pivotal to have someone box to box who can get up and down and has got a bit of everything, mate. He's got a bit of guile. He's got a lot. And like you said, technically he's very good. You rarely see him give a pass away. He complements Rice perfectly. Just takes the weight off Rice's shoulders just a bit. And that's so important. And when we get corners, we're excited because something's happened. We got them. We got the threats in the air. Whether before when we didn't have Dawson or Souček, it was mainly just Ogbonna, wasn't it? Ogbonna or Haller or Antonio. So yeah, mate. No, it's good to see.
That's what I mean. There's so many avenues here. I think that West Ham could get something from this game, and Liverpool are struggling. To be fair, I think a lot of teams, I'm not saying have sussed them out, but they are sitting deeper. Some teams are just taking a draw now against Liverpool, and that is frustrating them a bit. They lack pace in transition. I don't think Trent and Robertson are getting in behind as much as they used to. There is problems there, and I think they're looking a little bit fatigued. The problem area is Thiago will probably play, and that's why I'm a bit concerned about the press, because he is a bit press resistant. He's fantastic on the ball. He's one of their best players. For me, he's one of my favourite players in Europe, to be honest.
What's this theory going on about saying they haven't won when he started? Saying he's the problem. It's just
Thiago is a masterful football player, mate. He's absolutely cool. I don't want to give him too much praise because we're playing him on Sunday. Yeah. I hope Souček clatters him, but it's going to be tough to actually get the ball off him.
Yeah, I don't want to be a killjoy here, but Liverpool are going to click into gear at some point.
Just not on Sunday.
Just not on Sunday.
I know.
Yeah. That's the thing, But Thiago's brilliant, mate. But Declan Rice is brilliant as well. If Declan Rice has pocketed many good players, so hopefully Thiago's another. And without Henderson in, that midfield presence as well, they're a bit light there because I know he plays centre back with who's he playing with tonight? Joel Matip or something. So
yeah.
Antonio with him, both of them through the middle, he's causing a problem. And even get Benrahma in behind or Bowen, to come inverted. So it's always a tough game, mate. But it shows how far we've come. And to be fair, over the years we've given Liverpool a game at their place. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so intrigued to see how we deal with this game. I fancy us. I really, really do. I just think we're improving. I think also what hurts them as well is not having a natural centre forward. I think when they had Jota in their side, and Firmino was sitting in a bit more of a 10 role, I think they had that directness. And listen, they couldn't really break down. They struggled to break us down, to be fair, until they brought on Jota and Shaqiri. So I think without that, they're going to struggle. They're going to try and play the ball in and around. Of course, they're going to press us. We know the high line that they have. I just think we just look a bit more of a complete team, and we've had time with David Moyes now. A lot of these players have, and we've improved massively. So nothing to fear from me, mate. Nothing to fear. I think we go into this game and we give them a good game at least. Let's be honest, we get a draw out of this game. It's a good result.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get too complacent. A point will be magnificent against such a good team. We're saying we fancy us against one of the best teams in Europe, probably. Well, this season as well. So the only problem for me, mate, that I'm concerned about is their ability to counter.
Yeah, of course.
They love to counter. They've got the ingredients to really, really cause a threat. I think it was a few years ago as well. We were on top. We were doing well, and then Salah, blink of an eye, scores at the other end from a counter. I think that was when it was 1-1 and Antonio scored from that short free kick, if you remember.
Yeah, I do, man. Yeah, gutted in that game.
Yeah,
we were going to get something.
Oh, I know. It's another one, but yeah, listen, on form at the moment, we're playing well. Moyes will want to get one on Liverpool because obviously the Everton connection. So, if we take the performance from Palace into this, because we're looking strong at home as well, then there's no reason why we can't get a point. A point would be great, mate. I'd settle for a point all day long.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it. Mohamed Salah getting 2 goals in the FA Cup as well. He's not done by any means. His composure in front of goal. If West Ham go and try and push Liverpool a little bit and try and force the issue again, I don't think Firmino will play, but they can still pick that pass. Even with the likes of Shaqiri, he's still a good technical player. And you worry with someone like Mohamed Salah, his movement is very, very good for a player that used to play as a winger, now playing as like a kind of inside forward. It's he's a nightmare, mate.
He's a nuisance. He's a problem, mate, isn't he? Him and Mane. I'm going to ask you a question.
Go for it, man.
Do you rate Firmino?
Yes.
I want you to be honest. You rate him?
Yeah, I do. The reason why I rate him is, if you look at him solely as a player, I'm interested to know people's opinions on this in the comments as well. If you rate Firmino, you look at him as a player. His finishing, at times, his finishing is terrible. Right? He's not a striker.
Yeah,
he did score a lot of goals. To be fair, when he first came into Liverpool, I think he scored like 20 goals, and they were talking up like it was a really decent, potent strike force. Liverpool just scored 1-0 Firmino. There you go. We're talking about. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a great player. Sorry,
he's an unbelievable player. Yeah, no, honestly,
don't do it on Sunday.
when you look at him, I think people are harsh on him when they sit there and they say, well, he doesn't score enough goals. I think he's more of a 10. He gives him that free position. He draws people out of position. He allows Mane and Salah to get him behind. I'm not saying that the other players couldn't do that, because I genuinely think they could, but I think Firmino makes them tick a little bit in that final third. I think he's a little bit underrated. They overrate him. But I think at times people just think he's a bit of a hype job. But I can see why he's important to them.
He's not, like you said, he's not a natural forward, is he? But I think as a false 9, you've got to look at the work he does off the ball and the positions he gets into and the little flicks that go unnoticed. I think.
Well, look at his pass on Sunday, mate, for Salah. And he split Man United open. It's quality.
Yeah. He wasn't prolific at Hoffenheim either. They never got him to be prolific. They got him to be that kind of a different striker. I don't know who can compare him to be honest, but I haven't seen a striker like him in my lifetime. But someone just who can drop deep, he can rotate with Salah and Mane, can play anywhere really. I just think technically he's outstanding. He's not born for goals, because obviously he misses some sitters, doesn't he? But he scored tonight, so I didn't think he was playing, by the way.
Yeah, good job. People have told me, because I'm doing my predicted 11 soon, so I want to know whether he could actually play or not. I kind of sussed.
Sorry, mate. I didn't know he was playing. But
it's all right, man. It's all right. But he's a good player, and I think that's I'm interested to see how West Ham deal with him. I do think Declan Rice could get the better of him, but the problem is with somebody like Firmino is he picks up these positions. You know, he can get into little pockets of
Yeah.
space. Klopp says to him, "You can have the free," because it doesn't matter in a Liverpool side that push men into the box, that invert Mane and Salah, that play almost as central strikers. You know, Firmino can take those positions up, and if you leave him with too much space, he can hurt you. But he's definitely, a lot of people are saying he's not a striker. He's not a nine, is he? Let's be
No,
honest.
he's not. He's not. It's his his game intelligence as well, mate, is superb.
Yeah,
You know, that drifting into spaces but to be fair, Moyes might say, listen, to Souček or Rice, use it deeper, and when they're attacking, you put 2 men on Firmino and allow, come a bit narrow, allow them to have the width, but really block off them central areas where Salah and Mane like to come inside and shoot. So
yeah.
I think Moyes will have a game plan. It's just whether you can stop them in a sense.
I think what you saw in the first game against Liverpool, Firmino was picking up really deep positions, and it was because West Ham's low block was so superb that it was hard for Firmino to get into the game. That's where you want him. You want him deep, trying to pick the ball almost off with like a Thiago or a centre back, and he can't hurt you there. I think where we got done, and I think we've improved as a side, by the way, in general. So I think we can kind of combat this, and we are showing signs. Is that running behind? A couple of times this season when Balbuena's played, he's been done by that running behind, that movement. Leeds is an example with Paddy Bamford early on. And he's not a quick player, but just that movement can catch us. I just feel like Liverpool, without a Jota in the side, have lost that cutting edge. And you can see it now in their performances. They're not getting as many goals. And I just think it suits us. I'm not saying we're favourites, but I just think there's certain things that suit us in this game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Dawson does as well, mate, because he's not come up. When he's played, I can't cast my mind back if he's come up against real top-class forwards.
I think the only time he's ever come up against someone that's pulled him out of position is Southampton. So you have Danny Ings, Che Adams, Ward-Prowse picking up pockets, Armstrong coming a bit central, a lot of players. And we did see him troubled. And I said this anyway. I said, I know we played against Burnley, West Brom, Palace. The games that he's not really getting pulled out of position too much, that he can sit and he can keep his shape. And he's superb in the air. And those games suited him. You're right, it's a test. Let's see him up against a strike force that are going to try and play on the shoulder, get him behind. It is going to hurt him because he's not naturally that gifted in terms of mobility. So it'll be such an intriguing battle. But I just think that relationship that him and Ogbonna have developed over the past couple of games, I'm seeing improvements in Dawson, generally speaking. And I think he's going to pick up consistency. He's not a world beater. He's not a claret and blue Cannavaro, but he's definitely proved me and you wrong, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, yes, and he. Did you see the comments from Rice as well on him and Dawson after the Palace game, saying the Cannavaro and whoever? But no, yeah, listen, he's proved us wrong. Technically, he's very good as well. I remember last home game, he sprayed a ball, a diag to Benrahma on the other side. That ability as well. He's very just competent, mate. Competent defending and passing the ball and doing the simple things that helps him. That helps Ogbonna as well. Ogbonna obviously will naturally feel more confident with a consistent, if you like, partner next to him, because I know obviously Diop's still raw and young, needs developing, and obviously Balbuena's hit and miss sometimes too. But fingers crossed Dawson can pull up another worldie and we can give Liverpool a test.
Yeah, well, I think that's why people speak positively of the Lingard thing, because you look at Dawson when he came in, I think everyone was going, don't get it, don't understand it, can he improve it? I think what also is important about someone like Craig Dawson and Ogbonna is when we had that partnership between Balbuena was always the one to go and try and win the ball. And he'd always get caught out of position a little bit. And just feel like with an Ogbonna-Dawson relationship, they're very rarely out of position. They're very kind of central. They keep their shape nice. And I think that suits West Ham.
Yeah, it does, mate. Yeah, definitely. Suits the way we play. And Dawson, in a way, mate, he reminds me of James Collins a bit. That guile and just that ability.
He's got great movement on that near post for every single set piece, isn't he? When he nods it in, class, mate, absolute class.
Yeah. I remember when we were fighting relegation last season, mate, as well, and Watford were playing at home, and he scored an overhead kick. He scored a bike. I was like, any person that could possibly send West Ham down, it'd be Craig Dawson. And I was one that didn't agree and threw my toys out of the pram, but what a player, mate. And if we can snap him up for £2 to £3 million, I would have done it this January, personally. I would have done it this January. And possibly wait. But then that means you wouldn't sign Benny permanently, so there's that risk as well. But because then, if you don't sign Benny permanently, that'll attract clubs in the summer, come forward and come and buy him. So
Well, that's why it's so
But
important
no,
to get
no
Benny on that
Dawson.
deal, mate. Because you tell you what, his improvement, clubs will start looking at him and thinking,
Yeah,
hang on a minute, we've got a real
no, they
player here.
will. Yeah, they will definitely, mate. So no, it's good to get him tied up, and Dawson as well is a safe bet. Yeah, it is crazy to think he was in a championship, but then again, like I said earlier, it's one of them where he was a good player, just in a below average team, so
Yeah.
it can happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. You've proved me wrong, Craig. I'll give you I'll give you due, mate. You are looking all a bit a decent player. Fingers crossed we get it done. Everyone watching now, drop a like on the stream before we leave. It's really, really important. Make sure everyone can see it, etc., etc. All those things that I don't understand. Yeah, mate. Look, for a couple of people coming in late, Chan, I don't think it's going to happen. Nagelsmann has come out and he said that he's not going anywhere. For me, that's a dead deal. There's no change in mindset. I don't think Chan will probably force the deal either. Lingard, by the sounds of it, I think Chris put in the chat, possibly there's a medical tomorrow happening. I would expect that the Benrahma permanent transfer gets done. And we
They've been
see Lingard
teasing
in
us
for Sunday.
massively with that Benrahma announcement, haven't they?
It does my head in, mate. Honestly, just get it done and
They've been
over with.
teasing us.
We know he's signed on that dotted line, but I will not comment on it until I've seen it on a West Ham website.
But as a media officer, mate, being with myself formerly at Blackpool, that hype of doing that and getting that out and teasing fans is that's probably the best bit of the job, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I know the
I
Newcastle.
don't know what
The Newcastle admin definitely has a few teasers. Definitely did in the summer, so I'm
Yeah.
sure they all know. I'm sure they all know. I think we all know he's going to be a West Ham player for the 4 years as well, mate. And you look at his age. Is he 25, 26, Benrahma?
25, isn't he? Yeah, 25.
He's only going to improve. And actually, before we go, because we've got decent viewers here, we'll talk about Moyes, and I think a couple of things that have come out about him recently. And he's saying that he wants to build the project. He wants to. I mean, the fact that he's got to do it is a bit bizarre, and obviously we know that's down to the board. But the rumours are that he'll get a contract, and then he'll start to build a bit of an infrastructure. I think we saw with that Rochdale striker we were linked with, again, a long-term target. Are you massively infused by this, mate? And do you think Moyes needs to be given a decent contract as well to develop this project?
Yeah, he needs to, yeah, definitely, mate. Because it reminds me of similar what he did at Everton. Everton was struggling when he took over near the bottom. Built a project. They liked it, constantly backed him, and he nearly got them to the Champions League places. There's a very similar story. He'll see massive potential in West Ham, because there's always been massive potential in West Ham to really build as a club. And they've got to give him, for me, a 2 or 3 year deal to really see what he can do, see who he brings in, if it works, if it doesn't, and go from there. But I remember in his first spell as well, mate, he really, he mentioned the scouting system, didn't he? And he wanted to build it, but then he got rid of him. But no, listen, it's really positive, because we didn't have that under Pellegrini, did we? I know he brought in Jesus and things, but it never worked out. It was an experimental phase. But this is, Moyes is saying, I want to improve this. This is weak. I want to, improve on that as well. And that's the sign of a good manager, a manager that, won't settle for the basics. He wants to improve, and he wants to get this club, to the European places. So
I've got to give him some serious credit. Andy said here, I actually trust Moyes. I think that's it. He's gained the trust of the fans.
Yeah.
What we've seen from him is when he's got time with a side, and it's not just the tactics. I think we're improving in terms of that side of things, but the management, the coaching of certain players, the improvement and consistency we're seeing in the levels. I do think that it's so positive to tie him down, because he's not done anything so far. If anything, he's only improved everybody's perception of him. And I'd just like to see him with a bit of decent backing. Will he get it with this board? Probably not, but enough so he can bring in a decent squad of players that he trusts, that he likes. And let's just see where it goes. Will next season be like this season? Of course it won't. But, I think he's building something positive, and we're building a core of a squad, mate. That's the most important thing. Souček, Rice in centre midfield, probably the two best centre midfielders we've had in years. Definitely in my lifetime, 100%. We're just improving. Definitely. And I just want to see where he goes.
Yeah, mate. He's just building a balanced squad. If you ask me which is a better squad, this one or the one in the final season at Bowling, it'd be this one.
There's more of a... People have to remember, and I think, don't get me wrong, it was a blinding season that we had Payet, and Payet made that team click. Look at his chance creation.
Yeah,
he's not one of a kind, but he's an unbelievable talent. And yes, we had players in there. Noble's performances that season were unreal. We had Andy Carroll pulling out a few man of the match performances. As a team, there was a team spirit. I think that's the commonality between it. I feel like the improvement that we're seeing from this side, and what we're seeing as well, no silly results in there. Actually going on and beating teams that we should beat, and coming back from goals down. That's been a huge part of this season.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just that guile and that mentality, mate. Because Palace under Pellegrini or anyone else, their heads would have dropped straight away.
Yeah.
But that mentality to get back into the game, think, all right, we're going and win this now, and get back into the game, and that positive mentality he instills in the players is massive. Because under Pellegrini, mate, there was exciting moments. Don't get me wrong. Anderson was exciting. Whoever else was exciting, but it was a team of individuals. They didn't work for each other at all. And West Ham have always had good players. Cresswell's a good player. He always has been. He's just, dipped in confidence massively over the last few seasons. But Moyes is working on, what he's got. He's embedding that workman-like, supporting cast around the talented players as well. And it's really coming into fruition now. And he's getting, because let's face it, mate, it's a shoestring budget, isn't it? It's not a massive budget. But hopefully, if you say, right, well, in the summer, you've got 100 mil to spend like they did with Pellegrini, I believe Moyes will get good players, but there'll be younger players and there won't be players that get like 28, 27. Like Anderson, there'll be younger players who want to prove themselves, who've got that massive potential. And then West Ham can build that Leipzig model that, he desperately wants and that is very exciting.
Yeah, and he like you say with Cresswell, he's built a consistency into a lot of players. We don't look at it now and say some people have an off game. Pablo Fornals misses obligatory chance every game, but other than that, the consistency is there. But Pablo makes up for it in terms of his overall work rate, defensive positioning at times is superb. Yeah, I think maybe I've overlooked the Moyes thing. He did build a team at Everton, and he built them on a very shoestring budget, and he developed it over a number of years, and they were consistent. To be fair to them, they had a couple of dips every now and then, but they were always in and around that kind of top 8, top 6 place. And I think, to be fair, he's brought him into West Ham. He's obviously, because there is a lack of infrastructure, he has that ability and that autonomy to go and say, right, this is what I want to do. I don't think enough can be said actually about the backroom staff, because I think we were struggling a little bit with just Irvine and David Moyes in there. Brings in Nevin, brings in Kevin Nolan, huge character, captain of West Ham as well, knows what it means. I think those have been massive. I don't think you can't. They're intangibles, mate, but you can only assume that they have helped foster that kind of belief and definitely some decent coaching as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nolan has had a massive, massive impact behind closed doors on the attacking positions that Antonio, Souček get in, and just that. Yeah, they just don't get enough credit, mate, to be honest. I don't think they get enough credit because when he first came in, it was Sheffield United away, wasn't it? One of his first games when Snodgrass got ruled out late on. It was him and Irvine. It wasn't enough, mate, was it?
No.
But, he's obviously kept the goalkeeping coach. He's brought Kevin Nolan in, who knows what it's like to play with West Ham and knows the West Ham way in a sense. I know it wasn't like that under Allardyce, but he knows the fans and what they want and how they want to play and the passion, what it means to them. And having someone like that in the backroom staff is massive. He's ticking all the right boxes, Moyes. Definitely at the start, I didn't want him back, to be honest. I thought we were just going back as a safe bet. But, in the space of 18 months, mate, he's obviously got the best about Antonio. Because I remember at Everton as well, Tim Cahill wasn't a striker.
No, and he got serious goals as well.
And he got serious goals and converted him, similar to Antonio. So I think Moyes knows the potential of West Ham, what it's like to be in, the predicament that we used to be in, and getting that, getting the best out of the players that he has as well. So.
I can't believe how wrong he's proven me, to be fair. I can't believe how wrong. And the thing, what's been actually really positive is throughout the season, didn't make that sub quick enough. And someone commented on one of the videos the other day and said, maybe he just didn't trust certain members of the squad. And I think we're hearing rumours and people put it on the chat about Yarmolenko doing extra sessions, Soufal and Souček's mentality rubbing off on players as well. I don't think that can be underestimated. A lot of things have come together, and what's been the best thing, it's been in spite of the board. Despite them almost trying to ruin the squad, strip it down to the bare bones, they've fostered something that hopefully we can build on. But Moyes has to be back going forward. There's no doubt about it.
Massively, it's fundamental, mate. I would be devastated if he wasn't backed in the summer. Say like Anderson and Roberto there. The more they've done it in other leagues, so they do it in the Premier League. It's not the case. Anderson can't get a game for Porto.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Anderson, going off topic, he was a good player. He showed flashes of brilliance. He still has got that ability. But it was a team of individuals, mate. And now it's a real togetherness, like you said there, coming in days off in training, doing that. I do love. I love Moyes, mate. I'm in love with the geezer. I never thought I'd say this. I'm in love with the geezer. He's got me, mate. I'm smitten for him. Honestly.
Actually, before we switch up, mate, because we've given enough Moyes loving tonight.
Yeah.
Paul Spencer says, "Do you think Moyes will move on Diop?" I'm not convinced he'll do it this transfer window, mate. This is actually a good point. I'm interested to see what happens in the summer. Me and you have spoken about this quite a bit, actually. The likes of Yarmolenko, the likes of Diop, players that don't really fit, even Manu Lanzini. And I think Manu Lanzini's actually looked a bit sharp, actually, since he's come on this season. But do you think Moyes, when he gets to the summer, is going to look to try and recoup off them players and let them go, basically?
Yeah, I think Lingard coming in now spells the end of Lanzini for me.
So do I, mate.
Right on the wall.
Huge point.
Yeah. Because obviously you got Diop, Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko's on big wages as well. And it depends if it increases the budget. I think Diop's got to go to get game time and development. If it was me, I would have put him on loan this summer, this window. Sorry, to give him game time and develop him, because it's going to do the player no good just sitting on the bench for the rest of the season. Especially caliber of him. So yeah, mate. Yeah, what do you think?
With the Diop thing, I think Diop leaves in the summer. Unfortunately, if you're not going to use him, we are going to need him for squad depth. Our squad depth is terrible. I'm not saying we need 5-6 defenders. Obviously, we don't, or centre backs at least. But certainly, I think from a value perspective, I don't think it helps. You've got someone that's not playing regularly, that hasn't picked up any form that clubs aren't looking at from Europe, or obviously in the French league where he's been sort of touted. I think it would have been nice to have seen him go on loan, raise his value, and recoup some of that money. And I know 24 million isn't really a lot in today's terms. For West Ham, it is. And if we can bring in a centre midfielder or a striker with that type of money, that's massive for us, mate. Do you know what I mean? We need that squad depth. We have so many centre backs and so many 10s. We just need other positions.
And I think, getting like rid of Diop in the summer, you can focus more on a development plan for Baptiste, because Baptiste came in against Doncaster and he had been on the pitch for years. His composure for a young lad. Give him that pathway to excel into the first team, like with Declan Rice, like they did with him. Gave him a really good pathway. And, if you can get the likes of Diop gone and keep Balbuena and Dawson, you've got Bonner as well. Give a pathway for Baptiste. It's promising there, because Baptiste, no doubt, will be a top player from what I've seen. And they regard him highly as well. So maybe that, if there's any young wingers, like, I don't know, any young wingers about, mate, in the academy. Messak Jew, I know, was touted, but I'm not sure if he's injured.
Obviously, Nathan Holland. Do you know what I mean? I know
Holland, yeah.
Affeline come on the other day. I know he played in a bit of a 10 role, but again, there are options there. It's going to be intriguing, mate, particularly with the centre-backs. Baptiste clearly is a talent, and that was probably the biggest thing that I saw from Rice's game, even very early on, was the maturity. And you don't coming on at Old Trafford and passing the ball around like he'd been playing there for years. That's a sign of not only a good player, because we know he's a talented player from what we hear, but just in terms of the right attitude, and that obviously is so important with a Moyes team as well. Those kind of centre-backs positions are competitive. We brought in Frederick Alves. I imagine he was brought in long-term and he'll be there to stay. We could see even someone possibly like Balbuena go. We don't know at this point. I think there's a lot of Pellegrini signings in there. And again, it's not that I don't want Moyes to get rid of the players that he doesn't fancy. I think that's a manager's prerogative. It's just about getting the right players in. And I hate it when we start culling the squad and don't bring in those kind of the players that can supplement. We spoke the other night about John Lundstram getting his assist for Sheffield United. Again, cheap option, but it's not rocket science. But I just hope we back him, and you'd hope that if we do finish in a strong position and we beat the injuries and we're consistent, he does get it. He gets a flux of money, and we see a real strong West Ham side.
Yeah, perfect, mate. Lord Lundstram, that would be my top signing of the summer.
The FBL King, man. The FBL King. Right, let's kick it off with the games. Let's wrap this one up, because I want to see Spurs lose. Fingers crossed. Unfortunately, it does mean Liverpool will go above us, but only for a short time until Sunday. I'll push you for a score prediction, my friend. What are we saying? Liverpool on Sunday. Do you give the Hammers any chance?
1-1. 1-1. We'll nick a point. Yeah. They'll score late on, but the way we're playing, mate, the belief we have, the mentality we have. Liverpool out on great form. I know they're winning tonight, but I think we can match anyone on our day at the moment, and it's good to see. So I think we'll nick a draw, mate. Yeah.
Do you know what? DJ, need to stop having the beers, mate. He's put 3-1 West Ham. If only, man. If only. I went 2-1. I'm probably a bit, silly and naive, but I just feel like the way it's going possibly now changes. I've got to go and watch this Liverpool game, see if there's a possible change in the way that they're playing. Walter Taylor's saying 2-2. All right, then, lovely stuff. It's kicking off that game, but yeah, as always, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for being part of this series as well. A massive part of it. Good to have you back on the channel with all the stats. Check out Dan's socials as well. Loads of good opinions, loads of good stats as ever. But before you do leave, we're going to have a transfer deadline day live anyway on Monday. Even if we don't go and sign anyone, we will review the window, review the signings, and hopefully talk about West Ham's win on Sunday. So I'm absolutely buzzing for that one. Thank you everyone for watching. Drop a like before you leave. I'll be out very shortly with a predicted 11 and a tactical breakdown for this Liverpool game. Of course, you will have that. And then there'll be the watch along on Sunday, 4:00, West Ham versus Liverpool. I absolutely cannot wait. And until next time, take care.